Let's bring into the conversation Democratic Congressman Jim Himes of Connecticut. He's the ranking member of the House Intelligence Committee. Congressman, good to see you. A lot to talk to you about, including the shutdown looming. But just want to get you in on the conversation we've been having about the discussion of political violence, the divisive rhetoric we hear from the very top of the Trump administration. What has been your approach as we've seen this just spate in the last couple of weeks of horrific tragedies, these shootings, some of them driven by politics?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Willie. And look, you put the facts out there. You know, it's particularly painful for those of us who lived through January 6, 2021, when thousands of enraged Trump supporters visited us at our place of work, broke windows, killed police officers, looked to hang the vice president, and now, you know, that is being sort of memory hold in favor of some other narrative. Because, and here's the core of it, Willie. Here's why this is happening. You might say, what's the logic here? The logic is that if you're Donald Trump or J.D. Vance or Stephen Miller, you realize that rage and grievance, anger are enormously powerful things. And if you can get 30-40% of the country just filled with grievance and rage, you can get that same 30 and 40% of the country to ignore the fact that you are taking away their health care. That in the big, beautiful bill, Medicaid was gutted in a way that will throw 10 million people, by the way, many in Republican states, off of their health care, that will close hospitals. And you can get people to ignore that in the next couple of months, and this is what this shutdown is all about, the Affordable Care Act subsidies, which provide health insurance for millions of Americans, are simply going away. So if you can get people focused on racist videos of Hakeem Jeffries dressed up like a Mexican with a sombrero, if you can blame others, if you can say that the Democrats are radical extremists, you're hoping that people won't notice the intense damage that is being done to probably the most important thing Americans have, which is their access to health care.
By the way, that video was not sent out by some random internet troll. It was reposted by the President of the United States after the meeting with Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer yesterday. So let's get to the shutdown, Congressman. What is your sense? Is there any chance to avert this? We're just hours away right now. And if there is, in fact, a shutdown, what are the real impacts in your state, for example?
Yeah, you know, here we are on the day of, and, you know, you see how serious the party that has the White House, the Senate, and the House is about getting to a deal, because when the president finally relented and met with the Democratic leaders, who, by the way, the president's statement that he doesn't need the Democrats notwithstanding, that's not true, right? You know, in the Senate, you need a few Democrats to join you, and the president has said over and over again, we don't need them. And then, again, just to show how serious they are about actually reaching a solution, just look at that video. You know, blatant racism, profane. The American people are going to see that, and they're going to know who's being serious here. You know, to your question about what happens here, and I'm glad you asked it, because there's going to be an awful lot of finger pointing going on. But what's going to happen is that hundreds of thousands of hardworking people at the Department of Agriculture, people who make sure Social Security checks go out, people who check for bombs in airports, are not going to get paid, or they're going to get furloughed, right? And that's going to create an immense amount of damage for people, for good-hearted public servants. Americans themselves are going to see that when grandma reaches retirement age, all of a sudden it's going to be hard for her to get onto Social Security. If you had a trip planned to a national park, that ain't happening. I could go on with the amount of pain that is going to be caused by the American people, all because the people who have the trifecta in the United States government are much more interested in putting up racist AI-generated videos than they are in actually governing this country.
So before you go, Congressman, in about an hour or so, we're going to be hearing from the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, who has called this emergency meeting with some 800 generals. And I guess the president's going to speak there as well. Your thoughts on this meeting?
You know, it's somewhere between weird and terrifying. It's terrifying because, you know, putting our most senior military brass in one location, potentially unnecessarily, I suspect unnecessarily, is a massive security risk. For what? For what? My guess is that there's going to be some sort of pep talk. Well, for decades we have done this sort of thing over secure video conference, but instead, again, this crew which is much more interested in imagery than actually doing things like improving the lot of the American people, are going to take a huge risk at great expense to the American taxpayer. You think it's cheap to move 400, 4 stars, 3 stars, and 2 stars around the globe? It's enormously expensive. But look, we're going to need to wait to see what was so urgent that we should spend millions and millions of dollars of taxpayer money and then judge accordingly.
Hey, speaking of millions and millions of dollars in taxpayer money, what about the billions that we're hearing about a possible bailout of Argentina? I mean, how do you spend tens of billions of dollars?
Wait, you cut USAID.
Bailing out Argentina when you're slashing health care for rural hospitals?
Joe, it's one of those unanswerable questions. And look, why Argentina? Why Argentina? And we know the answer to that question. It's the same answer to the question of why does Jared Kushner get sweetheart deals with Saudi Arabians? Why does the president's friends get to invest in TikTok? The answer is because the president of the United States kind of likes the president of Argentina. He's a sort of political ally. It's the same reason that we're putting tariffs on Brazil, because the president doesn't like the current government in Brazil because they prosecuted his friend who tried to overthrow the government in Brazil. All this comes down to the profound corruption that you see in the Oval Office right now. This has nothing to do with anything related to Argentina. It's just that Donald Trump kind of likes the weird president of Argentina.
It's always personal. Ranking member of the House Intelligence Committee, Democratic Congressman Jim Himes of Connecticut. Congressman, thanks so much. And